Welcome back to the Ecto-Violence channel and happy Ghostbusters Day. Today is the 40th anniversary of Ghostbusters from 1984. I do a podcast with my brother Justin called Strange Glow Video.
Hey everybody, my name is Justin, also known as Mr. West Studios Online. I am co-host at Strange Glow Video with at Ecto-Violence, aka Alec.
And today he's going to be helping me out with this video because while I do have a lot of Ghostbusters physical media, I think he has more. There's a link to our podcast down below. You can find us on YouTube. And let's start with the VHS. First up, the standard RCA copy of Ghostbusters. This is what we had in our household growing up. I think my brother still has our actual copy in his physical collection.
We have a classic copy of Ghostbusters with the side closing spine. Now, there weren't a lot of movies made like this after like the mid to late 80s, right? You know, they really kind of got away from this style of packaging. But one of the things I love about this is the RCA style spines they have on here. This like red and white and black spines, and the RCA movies look so good together next to each other there.
I actually have two of the same copy here. This one does not have the cellophane still on it. This one does. It was opened on the bottom, but they kept the cellophane on, kind of like you do records. And it is the original cellophane because it still has the RCA stamp on the cellophane. Of course, we've got to have Ghostbusters 2 as well. And this is the matching RCA Columbia home video version. Again, very beautiful. It's just aesthetically pleasing to me. It's nostalgic. We didn't have Ghostbusters 2 growing up, at least not an actual release. We had it recorded off of TV.
And then we've got one of my personal favorites in here, a Ghostbusters 1 and 2 double feature. Now the cool thing about this is it has this nice slipcase. I still have the vintage real Ghostbusters toy advertisement that came with this, so that's pretty awesome. I've scanned that in online, so if you're looking for it, check out our Instagram page at Strange Glow Video. And then this has beautiful like mint copies of Ghostbusters and Ghostbusters 2. And these things look brand new in here. I've never even watched either of these copies. So those are kind of those backup copies that I keep in mint condition, just in case something happens to one of the other tapes.
I got a couple more versions of Ghostbusters 2. I have a previously viewed tape from Blockbuster, which just features the RCA box that's copied. This was sold for $9.99. The sticker for this was printed March 5th, 1991. There's another version of Ghostbusters 2 on VHS. They also have a matching version of Ghostbusters, which I don't have. I am on the hunt for it, but I just haven't found it yet. But I do appreciate it. It's kind of aesthetically pleasing as well. They kept the blue printing at least. Now we're up to the 1999 versions that use this artwork. We'll talk about the artwork for the other one, but you'll notice this one features the Twin Towers.
Got some real Ghostbusters episodes on here, so this is the episode Knock Knock. So this is a one-off episode, so some of these were kind of silly with the way they package their VHS as like a one episode. You can see that this one has seen better days. It's really kind of got that nice vintage feel to it. The next one up on there is kind of in the same style. This is the Magic Window releases. You may have seen these. Like, these are beautiful at the video store. Again, this also has that slipcover spine seal that you don't always see on videos. But this is Play Them Ragtime Booze. And this episode is such a classic one. I had to get it just for the cover. As a musician myself, like, this is essential owning in a Ghostbusters collection. One that I had as a kid, I think Alec has my childhood copy of this one maybe, but is the real Ghostbusters, and this is a 3-pack episode, and it's Revenge of the Murray the Mantis, Drool the Dog-Faced Goblin, and Ghostbuster of the Year. So very good episodes on here. I lost the slipcover like immediately as a kid on this, so happy to have purchased another copy.
I have Knock Knock and Play Them Ragtime Booze, episodes of the real Ghostbusters on VHS. I have two different Extreme Ghostbusters VHSs. They released 3, I'm missing the third one, but these are kind of hard to come by. I'm missing Volume 1, which has the first 2 episodes of the series. Volume 2 features The Infernal Machine and Grundlesque. And Volume 3 features Back in the Saddle Part 1 and 2, which is, that's the one, you know, that's the one you want.
Alright, so VHS, right? Everyone's got a lot of VHS. Probably if you're watching this channel. What other formats do we have, though, of these movies? They're old, dead formats. I've got a lot. So we'll start with a Betamax copy of Ghostbusters, and this again has that classic spine that's closed on there. Now Ghostbusters 2 on Betamax never received a release that came in this style box. They did release it on Betamax, but it comes in a VHS style box and with a special insert to kind of fit there, which is very peculiar. So if you're looking on eBay for a Betamax copy of Ghostbusters 2, make sure you don't overlook anything that looks like it's in a VHS tape box, because the VHS box was used for the Betamax release. Laserdisc. Who doesn't like Laserdisc? So we'll start with the first movie. Got a beautiful copy of this. Hard to pass up. Ghostbusters. Laserdisc. This one's a beautiful, beautiful Laserdisc copy, right? So much on there. And I think this is like a really high quality format for back in the day, right? You know, this is as best as the picture could get in the late 80s, early 90s. This is before DVD, right? If you're a Star Wars fan, you know that if you've seen the Laserdisc versions of the Star Wars trilogy, you've seen about as pristine of a copy as you can of the unaltered original trilogy. Unless, of course, you know, you have like a 35mm copy or something crazy at home. What other formats do we have? This is a CED video disc, very similar to a Laserdisc, but it actually comes in this kind of floppy hard disk case, and I believe when this goes into the player, like this top part of this slides out. Again, this doesn't have its own case, like the case and art was built right into the video, so you put it into the player. These are even more rare than your Laserdisc. I feel like Laserdisc is a fairly easy format to find. A lot of educational stuff was made on Laserdisc. So a lot of schools had those, so they're a little bit easier to find a working copy of those. This format never really picked up in the home video market just due to cost and it just kind of being something different, but a little bit obscure. And then back to Laserdisc. I got Ghostbusters 2, got a Japanese import of Ghostbusters 2 on Laserdisc. I love the art on this. I love how clean this looks. This is a real fun release to have in the collection.
And now to start with the DVDs. This is the 1999 version of Ghostbusters on DVD. You're probably very familiar with it. How can you not talk about that disc, though? Look at that thing. For some of us, this was the first time we ever saw any sort of special features on Ghostbusters.
One of my favorite things about this, though, is the audio commentary they added on this. And this is really where, as a video movie nerd, started the obsession of like learning behind the scenes things, because the commentary on here is world class. Like, I've heard of very few DVDs that have ever had anything of this quality.
The matching copy of Ghostbusters 2 to go with it. That's why I love hanging on to these things. Look at this. You could win an original signed Ghostbusters sketch. It's just physical media, man. I love looking at this stuff.
And this was a double-sided one. This had that, if you remember it, like the full screen and the widescreen. So it doesn't have any fancy art on there. Now, it took me a second to find this one a minute ago because I've got this unique slipcover, right? So this is a Zener card slipcover, a couple of wavy lines. This slipcover I got at FanFest, and I got a duplicate copy of Ghostbusters on DVD of the green slime format, but it was signed by everyone's favorite Winston Zedmore, aka Ernie Hudson. So that signed copy, I've actually taken the sleeve out of that and put it into my autograph collection. So I just use the slipcover on the OG right now.
They released all of these on VHS previously. They didn't have the same covers, but they had the same episodes. But each one of these also has an extra bonus episode. We had this VHS as a kid. I'm sure my brother still has that tape. I never saw these in stores. I remember buying them online. I bought my brother a set of these as well, so I'm interested to see if he still has those, this being the last of them. These. Now, if they look like crap, that's because I made these in Photoshop when I was like 14. The episodes ripped off of VHSs, and this is before we could get any new releases of this. From what I understand, it was a collaborative effort between my brother and his friend Tony Ontiveros. Also, the Best of the Real Ghostbusters Volume 1, which features The Boogeyman Cometh, The Boogeyman Is Back, Mr. Sandman Dream Me a Dream, When Halloween Was Forever, and Halloween Part 2.5. Special features included 3 Real Ghostbusters commercials. And they were all ripped off VHS, so they're pretty bad, especially once you ripped... Like, I don't remember what year this was done, but it was probably 2005, 6, 7, somewhere in there.
The Time Life Real Ghostbusters DVD collection. This one is a real awesome set. So there's 2 versions of this release that you may or may not have seen before. So my version was the cheaper version, and I say cheaper just because it has the plastic versions in here. So the original release of this came with steelbooks inside, and it cost probably $50 extra. You know, and for something that's hidden all the time inside a beautiful box, didn't care. And then the bonus disc of the original episode of the original pilot, which was restored here for another release later on, but still awesome to have in the collection. And then just the complete collector series guidebook. So, like, these are essential things to own in the Ghostbusters collection. Really great box art, though. I mean, this is just something that, if you don't have this and you find it for, I wouldn't say any price, but if you don't have this and you can find a copy of it, buy it, because it is worth keeping.
Time Life put out a box set for real. Time Life put out a real Ghostbusters box set, and at some point thrifting, I found just the first volume of it, which was actually worth picking up for me because it wasn't that expensive, and it is the steelbook version, not the plastic case version. And it has like 30 episodes, I want to say, the first 30. To go along with that, later we did get these other releases directly from Sony there at Walmart a few years ago. You could pick up the individuals, or they had like I think they did 5 volumes. I've only got 2 of them because the episodes from the first 2 are all on here. I only have these two because the episodes on the first 2 are on that steelbook.
So that came out in the early 2000s, I want to say. Some of the video quality on those is a little hit or miss because some of those videos were like VHS transfers to get all the videos on there, or the episodes. Now, just this year, for the 40th anniversary, we finally have Extreme Ghostbusters, the complete collection, on DVD for the first time. And a pretty basic release, but still, I love this series. I love the darker tone of it, and so it's got so much in there to have. Essential if you are a fan of Extreme Ghostbusters. You got to have that one. Kind of crazy the fact that they're still releasing DVDs to this day, but since most players are backwards compatible, it's fine. No big deal there.
Next up, the infamous double feature gift set. We all lost our minds when this came out. It was just more Ghostbusters. It looked different, it was new. As you can see, mine's kind of damaged here. This is my original copy. We got the 2 slim cases with this release. There were a couple extra special features on these, like the Real Ghostbusters episode Citizen Ghost is on this DVD, and the Real Ghostbusters Partners in Slime. And we got this fun little movie scrapbook with it that has a bunch of different stuff on logos and design for the movie, some storyboards, lots of interesting stuff, to be honest.
Alright, so next down our trip to memory lane is the PSP version of Ghostbusters. So they released Ghostbusters, and I believe Ghostbusters 2 on these UMD video discs for PSP. I don't have a PSP, but it's my favorite movie ever made, so I have a copy of it on PSP. I may eventually look for a PSP just to have something to play that in. If not, if you have a PSP, I've got a copy of the movie. Worth getting into the collection for sure.
Next up, we're switching to Blu-ray. The 25th Anniversary Edition Blu-ray, which came out in 2009. The same year as Ghostbusters the video game. This one did, again, feature some new special features. There was Ecto-1, resurrecting the classic car, and the making of Ghostbusters the video game, plus all the same special features from before, pretty much. If you look at the disc there, because those are always interesting to see. Next up, the Ghostbusters 1 and 2 Blu-ray pack, which actually features a booklet in there too. There's also a personal note from Ivan Reitman included. Yet again, we had more special features included. It's like they just keep finding special features for Ghostbusters and leaking out more every time they put out a new release. Guarantee we're going to see that there's more eventually. There's a Ghostbusters retrospective, there's a new round table in this. Speaking of steelbooks, these were some, I believe, Best Buy exclusives in like 2016. So I got both of them because they are just absolutely beautiful. The disc content isn't any different than the disc content itself isn't any different from the last releases. It's just the packaging, but I'm a Ghostbusters nut. What do you want from me? Speaking of 2016, Ghostbusters Answer the Call on Blu-ray, which also features the extended edition. Personally, I'm a big fan of this movie. I don't care what you say. You don't have to like it. I like it.
And then we've seen one Japanese release already, so got another Japanese release here. So this is the Answer the Call Japanese release with the little insert. So this is an import. This is an excellent version. And this came with a 3D copy of the movie. And like, you just have to see this thing. Like, Japan is slaying it over American releases for movies. Like, look at this thing. This thing slides up. It's got all these movie cards in there. It's got all the different versions of the film, your advertisements. It's pretty excellent. There's a poster in there. There's like a cardboard Ecto-1 you can build. And then they've got like the song lyrics on this. So this release is just one of my favorites in my collection, just because it's so unique, and they totally missed the opportunity to do that here for the American version.
Ghostbusters Afterlife Blu-ray DVD digital combo. Now, me and my brother Justin, we were at the world premiere for this movie in New York City, as well as the world premiere for Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, which I'm looking forward to the physical release of that. Lots of fun special features on this one, too.
And then you're thinking to yourself, why on earth would you have another Blu-ray copy? Well, before 4K was released, they had a mastered in 4K. Now, the interesting thing about this is it's upscaled to 4K, right? So it would allow players to upscale this for the home viewer. But the interesting thing is, the special features aren't on here, because in order to upscale it, I guess that took more data, so the special features are missing there. So while we're talking about it, we're going to jump right into a few things that are just Ghostbusters adjacent. So cleaning up the town, I got the DVD or the Blu-ray copy of this movie. That's an essential viewing in my opinion, right? If you love Ghostbusters, you need to see this documentary. It's a great release. I actually ordered this directly from Bueno Productions and had this one mailed to me from overseas. They eventually did do an American release. It's a little easier to get your hands on, but I was impatient and I wanted it, so I ordered direct from them. Then, of course, we've got Ghost Heads. Yeah, it's Ghost Heads, but it's a physical media release. Got it in the collection. You want to be a purist, so if it's officially released, I've probably got it. When they released the 4K versions of Ghostbusters, they did so for the 35th anniversary. My copy I got at Ghostbusters Fan Fest in LA. And so I've got the slime slipcover on here, and it's kind of aged fairly well. Like, the slime still moves in the packaging, so you can kind of check that out. It's still squishy. So it's got that 1 and 2 logo, but this goes back to that VHS box art where it's just the black and white logo. Now they do have that kind of cheesy 1 and 2 on there, but you know what? That's fine. And this is a steelbook, so you take that out of the slime slipcover, and then, you know, I like to keep all these things on there, but that's a beautiful steelbook. And then, you know, that's 1 and 2 in there, a couple other things. And then I've even got a note from my friends over at Wizard World. They sent me this card, basically. A little bit of a bad experience with Wizard World, just on how things were done and how expectations were set. They made up good for it for me, though, so I really can't complain too much. And it was the people at FanFest that really made it unique and special. And don't worry, we're almost done. Almost done. The final piece, the piece de resistance, the creme de la creme, is the Ghostbusters Ultimate Collection. Now, this is an amazing box set of Ghostbusters. So what do we got in here? Let's check it out. We've got this beautiful slipcover with included features that comes off, so that's a very nice top. We've got this Ghostbusters trap here, right? And so you can press this button on the top and slide your trap doors open. Now, it has a glowing mechanism for the ghost trap. That's pretty awesome, right? Like, it's hard to argue that. And I keep that displayed. I'm sure there's a million ways you could display this. Like, if you wanted to, yeah, just display this like this. That'd be beautiful, right? I keep it in the full cover just because that's me. Now, these are not steelbooks by any means, but you don't need steelbooks for this. You got nice slip covers for this, so you get multiple versions of the art. So we get kind of like that classic looking version of the art, and that's what you'll see like when you're streaming that on Vudu or Hulu or any of like the online streaming services or digital copies you may own. Ghostbusters slipcover, goes are on the back. We got Ghostbusters 2 with a little Vigo cover here, and then we've got a Ghostbusters 2, same digital art that we're seeing now, so that's kind of the standard art piece, and Ghostbusters 2 logo on there. Ghostbusters Afterlife. That was the whole reason I got this, so we got the Ghostbusters Afterlife piece here, and then we've got the movie cover itself, which I love the movie cover for this. It's just so fun and unique, and then obviously we got those mini puffs in there, everyone's favorite Mischievous. Then we've got the bonus features. The bonus features on this alone were worth the cost of admission, in my opinion. There's some stuff that had never been released on here at FanFest. Jason Really talked about going into the Sony archives basically to find the old film footage, the outrolls, the B-takes of everything they still had for this movie. So, like, one of the big features is there was a edited version of this movie that wasn't completed that they were able to throw in there. And so it was like basically a test print preview cut of an edit they were doing. Really awesome to see it that way. A lot of the effect shots are gone out of there, but you get to see some alternate takes. And then we finally got the Fort Detmering scene everyone was looking for, right? The Fort Detmering scene was something we'd only seen previously inside of the montage in Ghostbusters. And then a lot of people really wanted this. It's a copy of Making Ghostbusters. So I have a real vintage copy of this, and this is just a miniaturized version that fits inside the pack. But Making Ghostbusters is probably one of my holy grail items, Ghostbusters-wise, as far as that stuff goes. Just because it's hard to find now, out of print. This is the first time they've ever reprinted it since it came out. And, this is a small version of it, so it's great to have if you don't have it or you never saw it before. But the real full print version of this is one of my holy grail pieces in the collection.
Now let's switch to the audio department. There's a lot of different scores and soundtracks out for these. My brother has a lot more of them than I do, but we'll talk about what I do have. Ghostbusters on cassette. I love cassettes. I collect cassettes. I used to collect vinyl a lot more. Now I collect cassettes just because they're smaller. It's a lot less space to take up, As well as the Ghostbusters 2 soundtrack. Many people would argue the Ghostbusters 2 soundtrack is superior. I'm a huge New Wave fan, though, so I might have to lean on the first a little bit more. And speaking of the first, the original pressing of the first soundtrack. Very classic. Who doesn't have this? You can get new editions at Walmart now that are white vinyl. They call it white, Stay Puft white vinyl, I think. But this is an old copy. Ghostbusters 2, the original motion picture score on vinyl. This is just very beautiful. Ghostbusters 2, the score finally got some love, and I had to pick it up.
Then we've got some vinyl, right? Who doesn't like vinyl? Vinyl resurgence is a huge thing. We'll start with some simple items, right? Because why not? I've got a 7-inch copy of Cleaning Up the Town by the Bus Boys. And this is Clean Up the Town on both sides. So I think this is just made for a record player at a restaurant or whatever. And then one of the ultimate crimes in Ghostbusters 2 is the fact that they leave off Jackie Wilson's version of Higher and Higher from the soundtrack. And so I had to pick up a 7-inch copy of Higher and Higher by Jackie Wilson to have in the collection. And so one side is Higher and Higher, the second side is Whispers, Getting Louder Now. Essential listening in the collection. We've got a Ghostbusters 2 soundtrack on vinyl, and this one is a vintage copy, because, why not? Speaking of vintage Ghostbusters 2, got Ghostbusters 2 CD on soundtrack. You remember back in the day when they had these giant CD sleeves? So there's this giant cardboard here, and the CD is just this little section. Helped prevent shoplifting back in the day, and they always had those huge plastic lock boxes on there that I always had at Walmart or Venture or Target or Kmart or wherever you shopped at. So I found a used copy of this still in the sleeve, keeping it here because it's essential. I've got a brand new unopened copy of Ghostbusters 2 reissued on 180 gram vinyl, I believe, because this is a lot heavier than the other one. So Ghostbusters 2, brand new, unopened. There's no special features or anything on this. This isn't even colored vinyl, but you gotta have a good copy, I don't know if that other one scratched too much. I've played it a few times. I haven't played it in a while. Need to, though. So for the 30th anniversary, they released a version of this. So the first version is Record Store Day, and you can get a few dollars more for that on that. Prices because it'll have the Record Store Day releases, but I actually released this a little bit later on. I got this at Hot Topic. So it has 4 versions of Ghostbusters. The first version is the album version on side A, and the second version on side A is the instrumental version. There's an extended version that's 6 minutes and 8 seconds, and then there's a dub version. So the dub version I have not found on any streaming sites, which is odd considering a release like this you'd think would have it. But this is a glow-in-the-dark vinyl, pretty awesome. Very excited to have that one in the collection. I also have a brand new copy of Ghostbusters soundtrack for the 30th anniversary. I've not ever opened this one. This is a slime edition. It's fluorescent lime green slime, or lime green vinyl. Have not opened that just because I don't have a need to. It's just one of those things. I'm going to keep it in a collector's state because I can. everyone's favorite movie to hate on, which I like it, so keep your opinion to yourself, because Ghostbusters Answer the Call, original motion picture soundtrack. This is a Barnes & Noble exclusive color release. This is a red colored vinyl. Pretty awesome to have in the collection. Now, I kick myself in the butt every time I think about it or I get on eBay to look for it, because they released the score on vinyl as well, and Barnes & Noble had it, and I didn't get the score on vinyl. It's been a pain in the ass to find now. I still don't have it, still looking for it. Got the Ghostbusters film score on vinyl right here. Now this is a double disc, double vinyl record. This thing is beautiful. Like, this thing is just perfect. The artwork, the whole presentation of this is awesome. I love it. And then this one did not receive as wide a release as you would have expected, but this is the Ghostbusters Afterlife version of the vinyl. Very high quality release. I love the extra sleeve protection that it comes in. And so this was At the Movies, Music on Vinyl release, deluxe edition. And then, since, you know, we're like crazy people around here, I still have CDs of this. So if we go through the CD collection, let's jump through it. I actually don't have Ghostbusters, the original soundtrack, on CD. I'm not sure why. I'll probably snag it eventually because it's pretty cheap. But we do have Ghostbusters Answer the Call soundtrack on CD. That's a fun release. I like the art on that. That's kind of like something fun and different before they did the more stylized version for the home video releases of that movie. Got a CD copy of Elmer Bernstein's score. There is another older version of this that's actually hard to get or hard to collect, and it's very valuable. So if you have that, props to you. I have not wanted to spend the money on it since I have a perfectly good copy right there. Got that Ghostbusters score that I was talking about for 2016, Answer the Call. And this is a good score. This score is way underrated because so many people just want to spend time spewing hate about this movie. Score is solid. I still enjoy a lot of that score. And the movie. Obviously got Ghostbusters 2 score on CD as well, because, you know, if you're going to have all these formats, why not? Then we got Ghostbusters Afterlife, of course, on CD as well. And then just recently came, I haven't even opened it yet, but it's Ghostbusters Frozen Empire score on CD. Now I am hoping that we get an announcement for a vinyl release of this score on Ghostbusters Day. Maybe not, but we'll see. Last time the Afterlife version was very kind of small run, small release. And then, of course, as a huge fan of Ghostbusters, I also have the Cleaning Up the Town version of that. So if you're not following Cleaning Up the Town, check out @GhostbustersDoc on social media. But they're also working on the follow-up for Ghostbusters 2.
Now let's talk video games. I've only got 3 in my collection, but they're pretty cool. So for the Atari 2600 by Activision, Ghostbusters. I have not had a chance to play this actual cartridge yet, but I'll get around to it. It's pretty much just a worse version of this, Ghostbusters for NES, which we had growing up, and I frequently would play and frequently be just completely confused. If you haven't played it and you haven't watched anybody else play it, just go watch the Angry Video Game Nerds video on it. And lastly in my collection today, Ghostbusters the video game, the original PS3 release. I need to get a re-release for this, but I also need to get a new console. This is the only video game I ever went to a midnight release for. Is that ridiculous or what? I wasn't ever a huge video game nerd.
So we all remember the video game came out. They did 2 versions of that, right? So we've got the Wii version and the PS3 version, which I've got the PS3 version. We had a family Wii, but I never bought it for that. But this is the stylized cartoon version of the game where you could play as a male or a female for your avatar. Pretty cool. I've never actually even played this because I bought it so long after the release that I never got through it. But, oh, and actually that's PlayStation 2, that's not even PS3. Good to know. PS3 though, Ghostbusters the video game. This is the only video game I've ever gone out to purchase on release night. Got mine through GameStop, so I got the Ghostbusters 2 flight suit code, downloadable flight suit. That was pretty awesome. Walmart had a Golden Proton Pack release code if you pre-ordered through them. And then, of course, I always keep the inserts and pack stuff, so everything that came in here is still in there. Then we go down. You can't see it because it's not on here. They didn't do physical media for it. Ghostbusters Sanctum of Slime was a download-only game for the PS3 and Xbox 360. But we jump ahead a couple of years. And then I got Ghostbusters 2016, the game. Now this game is not made for like a die-hard Ghostbusters fan. I've played this game with my kids before because it's like a 4-player game. You get a little bit of Ghostbusters action. It's very much Ghostbusters Sanctum of Slime, but with Answer the Call characters. Very similar in that vein. Fun for multiplayer if you're not trying to do anything too serious. Got a Nintendo Switch, so I got Ghostbusters, the video game, remastered for it, and that's an essential to have in there. You want to be able to play that Ghostbusters game on the go. And then we jump ahead to Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed. So I've got a PS5 copy of Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed. I also have the Tobin Spirit Guide edition for that. The Tobin Spirit Guide is put up in my collection. Don't have it out right now, but I got that because it came in the Tobin Spirit Guide. I got the poster that came with it right here next to me. Then, when they finally released this on the Switch, I got the Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed Ecto Edition, and this has a glow-in-the-dark cover, has all the updated features for the game. So, pretty excellent there. I don't have any of the vintage games. Just don't have any consoles to play those on, so I haven't gone through hunting for those. If I find a good deal on them, I'll probably throw them in there just for the physical media.
Well, that's it for our Ghostbusters Physical Collection video. Thanks, Justin, for joining me in this video.
Hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe to Ecto Violence's channel, swing by, subscribe to @Mr. West Studios, and then check out our show together.
Comment below and tell us what we're missing, because you know we're obviously missing something. And if you like this video, go check out this video where I compared the VHS release of Ghostbusters to the Blu-ray and hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching.